We're talking about the legendary 1960 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Why? Because this penny, from one of the most overlooked eras in coin history, could actually be worth up to $1.4 million. Sounds like a fairy tale, right? But trust me, it's no joke. So, buckle up, because we're diving deep into what makes this humble penny a potential gold mine, and how you can spot one before it gets away. Spoiler alert, you might have one hidden in your spare change jar, and you don't even know it. Alright, let's rewind to 1960 for a sec. I know, I know, it's hard to picture life before smartphones and selfies, but bear with me. In 1960, the US Mint made a few pennies that would go down in history for all the wrong reasons. The big deal with the 1960 penny is that there was a major mintage mistake. Now, when I say mintage mistake, I don't mean a tiny little typo, like when I accidentally call my cat dog. I mean a full-on, coin-changing event that was totally unintentional. The 1960 penny was supposed to be a standard, copper-based coin, but some of them were accidentally double die struck, meaning they were imprinted with double images of Abraham Lincoln's face. This created a unique coin that is now worth a ton of money. I mean, think about it. A penny that's worth $1.4 million? That's one heck of a lucky find. Here's the fun part. You might be thinking, how am I supposed to know if I've got a $1.4 million coin in my pocket? Well, first, take a close look at the date on the coin. You want to make sure it says 1960. Then, flip the coin over and check the mint mark. If there's a D for Denver below the date, you might have something special. This is great, but I'm not a coin expert. And hey, I get it. Coin collecting can feel like trying to figure out the Wi-Fi password at your friend's house. Confusing, frustrating, and you're just trying not to look like a fool. But fear not, because it's actually pretty simple. If you find one of these 1960 pennies, all you need to do is inspect it closely for signs of a doubled image on Abraham Lincoln's face and the letters around the coin. When I first started getting into coins, I was like every other beginner, thinking my quarters and pennies were just shiny pieces of metal I had no use for. Then one day, I was sitting on the couch, flipping through some old change, and I noticed something odd about one of my pennies. It looked different. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but I went ahead and did some research, and sure enough, I had stumbled upon a 1943 copper penny that could have been worth hundreds of thousands. So trust me, I get the excitement of finding something that could pay off big time. Now, when it comes to determining if your 1960 penny is worth a fortune, the grading matters. Coins are graded based on their condition, and it's all about the details. How worn the coin is, the clarity of the doubled images, and so on. If it's in mint condition, you could be looking at big money, like $1.4 million. But even if it's a little worn down, don't panic. These coins can still be worth hundreds or even thousands, depending on the specifics. Now, let's be real for a sec. Finding a 1960 penny worth millions is like finding a needle in a haystack. But hey, you never know when a little bit of luck might just come your way. So next time you dig through your change jar or spot a stray penny on the sidewalk, make sure to take a closer look before you toss it aside. You could be holding on to a piece of history and potentially a big payday. And if you found today's tip interesting or are just looking to learn more about coins worth money, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more exciting tips and tricks that could make you a coin collector pro. Or, the next lucky millionaire. No, I'm not talking about some weird collector's dream. I'm talking about the 1988 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick with me for the next 10 minutes, and I'll tell you why this little penny could be the jackpot you've been waiting for. So let's dive into this. What exactly is this mysterious 1988 no-mint mark penny, and why is it so valuable? Well, if you're a coin collector, you know that most US coins have a mint mark, right? That little D for Denver or S for San Francisco. These marks tell you where the coin was made. But the 1988 no-mint mark penny? Well, it was supposed to have a mint mark, but oops, it doesn't. And that tiny, almost unnoticeable error has turned this coin into a highly sought-after treasure. I mean, it's like that one time I showed up to a party with a potato salad that had no mayo. The looks I got, I thought I'd ruined the whole thing. But hey, turns out some people actually liked it. Same deal with this penny. That little missing mint mark is what makes it rare. But the real kicker here is how much it's worth right now. We're talking $1.70 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny, just a single penny, could be worth more than your car, your house, or, well, probably most of your life savings. There's no way I have one of those. You might be right, but let's be honest. We've all had that moment of excitement when we find a coin and think, this is it. This is my retirement plan. I had a moment like that last year when I found a 1943 copper penny in my couch cushions. I mean, I was ready to call the coin experts, sell it, and live my best life in the Bahamas, but then I learned it was a fake. Sad trombone noise. But let's get back on track. To find a 1988 no-mint mark penny, you'll need to look carefully through your pennies from that year. These things don't just pop up out of nowhere. The best way to find one is to start looking at your pennies, especially the ones that don't have a mint mark. How do I know if I've got one of these bad boys? Good question. The penny needs to be from 1988. So, no, that 2009 penny you found in your dad's old jar of change doesn't count. Sorry. Examine the mint mark. It should be blank. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just the year, a little Abraham Lincoln, and the rest is history. If you think you've found one of these, don't just throw it into your penny jar with the rest. Take a closer look. The ones that are in pristine condition, especially if they've never been circulated, can fetch those astronomical prices. If you've got one that's been worn down from years of handling, it's still worth more than a regular penny, but not quite a cool million. But if you've got one that's in mint condition, my friend, you might just be looking at a seven-figure payout. Okay, now, before you get too carried away and start going on eBay thinking you're about to make a fortune, here's something you should know. It's not as simple as slapping a "for sale" sticker on it and calling it a day. No, there are a few hoops to jump through if you really want to cash in on your million-dollar penny. You'll need to authenticate it, of course. That means finding an expert who can confirm it's a legitimate error coin. This isn't something you can just Google and expect to make a fortune. You've got to put in the work. That's why I recommend doing some research, or even taking it to a reputable coin dealer who can guide you through the process. And let's talk about authenticity for a second. Because let me tell you, I once found a rare penny in my grandmother's attic. It looked ancient, had a strange shine to it, and I was ready to retire right there. But after a quick Google search and a trip to a local dealer, I learned it was just a novelty item made in the 1970s for some random coin collection. It wasn't even worth $1. I was crushed, but it made for a pretty funny story at family dinner. If you've got a 1988 penny with no mint mark, take a good look at it. It could be your ticket to a seriously fat paycheck, but you've got to do your research and make sure you're not getting scammed. Get it authenticated, and if it's the real deal, well, who knows? You could be the next coin millionaire, and hey, if you love discovering hidden treasures like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more coin tips, strategies, and all things money-making in the world of numismatics. You never know. Your next penny might just make you rich. I mean, if I find one of those 1988 no-mint mark pennies lying around, I'll let you all know. But for now, happy hunting, and keep those coins close. Do you have any old pennies lying around in your drawer or coin jar? Well, you might want to dig through that pile and give it a second look, because what I'm about to tell you could turn your pocket change into a small fortune. Imagine holding a coin that could be worth over $1.3 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? But believe it or not, that's exactly the kind of value some people have found in the 1964 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around because we're diving deep into why this penny is so special, what makes it worth a small fortune, and how you might just find one sitting right under your nose. And hey, by the end of this video, you might be digging through your old coin collection like a treasure hunter. So let's get into it. Now, before you start pulling out every penny from your pocket, let's talk about this particular 1964 penny. That D stands for Denver, where the coin was minted. But the real kicker here is that not all 1964 pennies are worth millions. It's one specific type of 1964 penny that's got everyone buzzing in the coin collecting world. It's an error coin. You see, back in 1964, the US Mint was in full production mode with these pennies, cranking them out by the billions. But somehow, in all that hustle, a few pennies were struck with an error, a double die. This means that the die used to stamp the coin was misaligned, causing the details, like the words and the date, to appear doubled, giving the coin a very distinct and unique look. How do you spot one of these bad boys? Well, first, look closely at the date and the lettering on the coin. The most obvious giveaway is the doubled lettering. The word Liberty, the date 1964, and the phrase In God We Trust should all have that blurry, duplicated look, almost like someone tried to stamp it twice. And if you're looking at one of these coins in person and you're thinking, hey, that looks weird, you might just have a potential gold mine on your hands. But don't get too excited just yet. The true value of these coins comes from their rarity and condition. I remember when I first started collecting coins, I had a ton of old pennies. I thought they were all worth something because, well, they were old, right? One day, I found this beat-up, rusted penny that looked like it had seen better days. I showed it to my friend, who's a seasoned coin collector, and I was like, check it out. I bet this is worth a ton. He took one look at it, chuckled, and said, that's worth about as much as a cup of coffee at your local diner. Turns out, it was just an old, corroded penny that had zero value. Classic rookie mistake. So, if you do find a 1964D with that double die error, don't just assume it's worth millions right off the bat. Condition matters a lot. The higher the grade, the more it'll be worth. A mint condition 1964D double die penny could fetch over $1 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right, $1.3 million. But if yours is scratched up or dented, it's going to bring in a little less, but still a lot more than your average penny. Now, if you're looking for some tips on how to make sure your coin is in the best shape, it helps to keep it in a protective case. Don't touch it with your bare hands because oils from your fingers can damage it. Store it in a dry, cool place, and make sure it's safe from the elements. Treat it like it's the last cookie in the jar. So, the next time you dig into your old coin collection or you find a penny on the ground, take a second to check it out. It could be the lucky coin you never knew you had. And if you happen to find that 1964D double die Abraham Lincoln penny, then congratulations. You could be looking at some serious cash. But hey, even if you don't find $1 million penny, don't get discouraged. There are plenty of other rare and valuable coins out there, and I'm here to help you spot them. Make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notifications because I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and coin hunting strategies. You won't want to miss out on all the money-making secrets I've got for you. Who knows? Your next treasure hunt could be just around the corner. There's a 2013 penny out there that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1 million. Yep, you heard that right, a penny. The same one you probably tossed into the jar or lost in your couch cushions. But how could this possibly be true? Isn't it just a regular old penny? Well, buckle up because this coin has quite the story. And trust me, you'll want to hear this one. So grab your favorite beverage and let's dive into the wild world of rare pennies. All right, let's break it down. Most of us are used to pennies being worth, well, 1 cent, barely enough to buy a piece of gum. But what if I told you that a particular 2013 penny, one without a mint mark, is currently valued at a mind-blowing $1 million? Sounds crazy, right? I mean, it's just a penny, something you'd find on the street or the bottom of your backpack. Here's where it gets interesting. In 2013, the US Mint made a pretty big mistake, or, depending on how you look at it, a big opportunity for collectors like you. That year, some pennies were released without the usual mint mark. Now, before we get too deep into this, you might be wondering, what's the big deal with a mint mark? Mint marks are those little letters on coins that show which mint produced them. You've probably seen D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But some 2013 pennies, possibly by error, didn't have any mint mark at all. It was like a little slip-up, and it didn't take long for eagle-eyed collectors to spot it. Now, let me tell you a little story about my own coin hunt. One day, I was going through my change, just like any regular person looking for loose coins for parking meters. I found an old coin, and for a second, I thought it looked pretty interesting. But guess what? It wasn't worth a thing. Maybe a few cents, tops. But hey, I held on to it anyway, thinking one day I'd find a treasure. Flash forward a few years, and I learned that I could have found a 2013 penny like the one we're talking about today and could have been rolling in cash. Moral of the story? Don't ignore your pennies. You never know when one could be the next $1 million gem. So, what's so special about this 2013 penny without a mint mark? Well, it turns out that error coins, like this one, are highly sought after by collectors. People love a good mistake, and this little penny is no exception. Its rarity makes it incredibly valuable in the coin market, and some of them have sold for over $1 million. It's like the holy grail of modern-day pennies. But hold on, you might be thinking, okay, I want to get my hands on one of these, but how do I even know if I have one? Good question. The key is to look closely at your 2013 pennies. If you find one without any mint mark, you've just discovered a potential gold mine. Of course, the condition of the coin matters too. A penny that's been rolled around in your pocket for years probably won't fetch you $1 million, but if it's in great shape, especially if it has that crisp, shiny, uncirculated look, you could be holding a rare treasure. It's not just about finding a 2013 penny with no mint mark. Coin collecting is all about paying attention to the details, doing your research, and, most importantly, having a little bit of luck on your side. So, next time you're digging through that pile of coins or raiding your spare change jar, take a moment to check for those little details that could make you a coin collector's hero. If you learned something today, or if you just love hearing about coins worth big bucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be here with more tips, tricks, and fun coin facts that could help you find the next rare gem. You won't want to miss what we have coming up next. We're diving into a coin so rare it could be worth up to $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. It's the 2014 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. But don't go running to your piggy bank just yet. Let's take a closer look at what makes this little copper circle worth more than most people's yearly salary. Now, before you start checking your pockets like a madman, let me give you the lowdown on why this penny is so special and, more importantly, how you can tell if you've got one of these golden, well, copper tickets hiding in your collection. First off, let's talk about what a mint mark is, in case you've never heard the term. Mint marks are those little letters found on coins that tell you where the coin was made. Usually, you'll see a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all for coins struck in Philadelphia. But here's where it gets wild. In 2014, a small batch of pennies were accidentally struck without the mint mark, and that tiny detail could be worth up to $1.90 million. Now, you might be thinking, well, I've got pennies everywhere. I'm rich, baby. Hold your horses. Just because you find a 2014 penny without a mint mark doesn't automatically make it a millionaire maker. There are other factors that play into it, like the condition of the coin, and let's be honest, that penny from your change jar might look a little worse for wear. But if yours is in mint condition, see what I did there? You might just have a treasure on your hands. Here's a little story from my own life to bring this home. A few months ago, I was going through an old jar of pennies I inherited from my grandfather. You know, the kind of jar that's been collecting dust for decades. I started going through them, half expecting to find nothing but crusty pennies with questionable stains, when I stumbled upon something shiny. Not a 2014 penny, but a 1969 S penny with a weird doubling effect on the Liberty part of the coin. Long story short, it wasn't worth $1.9 million, but I did end up getting a decent amount for it because of its rarity. Moral of the story? You never know what you're sitting on until you check. But back to the 2014 no mint mark penny. Here's where it gets interesting. Only a few of these were made, so it's incredibly rare. How rare? Well, there are estimates that fewer than 10 of these pennies are floating around out there. Maybe you've got one of the lucky ones. Maybe not. But if you do, then you're looking at a huge payout from collectors who will stop at nothing to get their hands on it. How do you find out if yours is worth $1.9 million? Well, first, check for the date. It has to be a 2014. Then, look carefully on the reverse side of the penny. If there's no mint mark, you've got the jackpot. But don't start counting your millions just yet. Coins in perfect condition, we're talking pristine, no scratches, no wear, no fingerprints, are the ones that can fetch the big bucks. And even then, you want to have it authenticated by a professional. Not every dealer will know what they've got, so it's worth doing the legwork to make sure you're not selling it for a song. So, the next time you're rummaging through your change or that old penny jar in the back of your closet, don't just dismiss those pennies as just change. One of those little guys could change your life if you've got a 2014 no mark penny in perfect condition. And hey, even if you don't be discouraged. There are tons of other coins out there with hidden value, just waiting for the right collector to find them. Before I let you go, I've got a quick favor to ask. If you enjoyed this little treasure hunt and want to learn more tips and tricks on coins that are worth big money, hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with more cool stories, valuable finds, and maybe even a few laughs along the way. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. You've got a handful of the usual stuff. Pennies that are probably worth, well, a penny. But then, you pull out one shiny little guy, and something feels off. You flip it over and boom, it has a D mint mark. A 1970 D penny, to be exact. Now, here's the kicker. That seemingly run-of-the-mill penny you just found could actually be worth up to $1.2 million. Yep, you heard that right, $1.2 million. You're thinking, no way, a penny from 1970? Well, my friends, that's what we're diving into today. Grab your magnifying glass and let's go on a coin hunt. Okay, let's set the stage. You've probably seen 1970 D pennies before. They're pretty common, right? You might have a ton of them lying around in change jars, or maybe you find a few while you're scrounging around for spare change. But this isn't just any 1970 D penny. It's the one that could make you a small fortune if you know what to look for. What makes the 1970 D penny so special? Well, in 1970, the U.S. Mint accidentally produced a batch of pennies with a double die error. Essentially, it's a mistake in the stamping process where the die used to strike the coin was misaligned. The result? Some of the letters and numbers on these pennies are doubled. And not just a little bit. We're talking about noticeable doubling on the date, the word liberty, and even the motto "In God We Trust" on the front of the coin. You know what that means, right? If you've got one of these, you've got something way more valuable than your average penny. In fact, if the doubling is really sharp and noticeable, a well-preserved 1970 D double die penny could be worth up to $1.2 million, depending on its condition. That's right, you could literally find a coin worth more than a car hiding in your couch cushions. Now, let's talk about how to spot one of these bad boys. First off, get yourself a magnifying glass. No, seriously. I know it sounds a bit like you're gearing up for a Sherlock Holmes mystery, but trust me, you'll need it. Examine the details on the coin, especially the date and the inscriptions. If you notice some of those letters or numbers looking like they've got a ghost image next to them, that's the doubling effect. You might be holding a gold mine. If your 1970 D penny has visible doubling on the date or lettering but looks worn out, it may still hold some value, but not nearly as much as a pristine example. A coin in mint condition will be the one that pulls in the big bucks. So, no tossing these coins around like they're just pocket change. But how do I know if I've got a $1.2 million penny on my hands? Well, I've got a funny little story for you. I remember the first time I stumbled upon what I thought was a rare penny. I was in high school, and I was definitely more interested in video games than coins at the time. I had this old penny lying around for years, and I remember thinking it was cool because it was from the 70s. So I Googled it, got all excited about my find, and rushed over to a coin shop. I handed it over, and the shopkeeper took one quick glance, tapped it with a coin scale, and said, "Sorry, kid. It's just a regular 1970 D." I was so disappointed. But hey, it was a great lesson in the importance of knowing exactly what you're looking for. So if you're lucky enough to spot a real double die penny, don't make the same mistake I did. Make sure to have it professionally appraised. You never know what you might be holding. So, what do you do now with this newfound knowledge? First, check your pockets, coin jars, and that dusty old piggy bank. If you find a 1970 D penny that looks a little off, take a closer look. It could be your ticket to a serious payday. And if you're not sure whether it's worth a fortune, get it checked out by a professional. It might save you a lot of time and guesswork. And hey, if you've enjoyed learning about this amazing penny and want to discover more hidden treasures and tips on how to find valuable coins, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm always sharing tips, tricks, and stories to help you on your coin collecting journey. Who knows? The next time you check your change, you might find a penny worth $1 million. So, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay tuned for more. Well, Before you toss them in the coin jar or send them off to the bank, you might want to take a second look at one specific penny, the 1976 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Why? Because this little guy could be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent. Now, you're probably thinking, really? A penny? Worth $1 million? Yup, you heard that right. It might sound crazy, but the 1976 D Lincoln penny has actually sold for up to $1 million. Sounds like something straight out of a treasure hunt movie, doesn't it? Stick around because I'm going to break it all down for you in the next 10 minutes, and trust me, by the end, you'll be checking your pockets and coin jars like it's Black Friday at the coin store. Let's dive in. All right, before we get into why this penny is so special, let's talk about the basics. If you're new to coin collecting, or maybe you just haven't been paying attention to the coin market, here's what you need to know. The 1976 D Lincoln penny is part of a very special series made in honor of America's bicentennial. Yes, that's right. We were celebrating 200 years of freedom. But before we get too patriotic, let's focus on why this penny in particular is making waves. Now, the D Mint mark refers to the Denver Mint where these pennies were made, but here's the kicker. Most of these pennies aren't worth more than their face value. I mean, it's still a penny, right? However, there was a small number of 1976 D Lincoln pennies that were struck with an error. And it's this error that makes them potentially worth a fortune. You see, some of these pennies were struck with an unusual design mistake. Instead of the typical smooth edge, some of these pennies have a double die error. Basically, the image on the coin was stamped twice, which causes the image to be blurry or slightly misaligned. And folks, these coins are highly sought after by collectors. But here's where it gets crazy. A coin with this double die error has been sold for nearly $1 million. Now, don't panic and think that your penny jar is about to make you a millionaire. It's not that simple. Only a very few of these double die error pennies actually exist, and even fewer are in great condition. The ones that have gone for insane amounts of money were in pristine shape, uncirculated, and well-preserved. Let me tell you a quick story about how easy it is to overlook a potentially valuable coin. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale. Yeah, those treasure troves that we all love to hit up on weekends. And there was this old box of coins. Most of them looked like typical worn-down pennies and nickels. But I spotted a 1976 penny sitting there, and without thinking much of it, I almost tossed it back into the pile. Fortunately, I decided to pocket it and do a little research later. Guess what I found out? That 1976 penny didn't have the double die error, but the fact that I almost overlooked it gave me a good reminder. Always check your change. You never know when you might have a hidden gem. Now, I'm not saying every 1976 D penny is worth $1 million, but you've got to know what to look for if you're ever lucky enough to find one of these. Check the mint mark. It's a D4 Denver on the coin's reverse side. Inspect the coin for any visible double die errors, and make sure it's in good condition. If you find one with the error and it's in great shape, you could be sitting on a gold mine. But here's the thing. It's not just about finding a penny that might be worth a fortune. It's about understanding how coin collecting works, learning what makes certain coins valuable, and building your knowledge along the way. Who knows? This might just be the start of a coin collection that could make you some serious money in the future. So, to wrap up, always check your change and keep an eye out for that 1976 D Lincoln penny with the double die error. While not every coin will be worth $1 million, there's definitely a chance you could discover something valuable in your spare change. And even if you don't, you'll have the knowledge to spot the next big find. If you want more tips on coins worth money, strategies to help you grow your collection, and a little bit of humor along the way, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of content coming up that'll help you become a coin expert in no time. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunts. Keep an eye out for those pennies. One might just change your life. Did you ever think you'd be holding on to a penny that could be worth a small fortune? Well, I've got a story that's going to blow your mind, and it involves a tiny coin from 1964 with no mint mark. That's right, a 1964 penny, which could be sitting in your pocket, your change jar, or even under the couch cushions, is worth a whopping $1.5 million today. Yep, you heard that right, $1.5 million. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this rare gem and why it's one of the most sought-after pennies out there. Trust me, if you've ever found a penny on the ground and just tossed it aside, you might want to reconsider next time. Alright, let's get into the meat of it. We're talking about a 1964 penny, one that has absolutely no mint mark on it. Now, before we all get too excited, let's backtrack a little. If you're scratching your head right now, wondering, what's a mint mark and why does it matter? I've got you covered. A mint mark is a little letter stamped on most coins to show where they were made. Most pennies have a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But here's the kicker. In 1964, for reasons unknown, maybe it was a case of, oops, we forgot. A small batch of pennies was made without any mint mark at all. And guess what? Those few coins that were meant to be in circulation never left the bag in the vault. Eventually, when collectors realized how rare they were, their value shot up, way up. Back in the day, a 1964 penny was just another penny, worth 1 cent. But today, it's worth so much more. It's not uncommon to see them listed for $1.5 million if it's in top condition. You might think, that's crazy, right? How could a tiny penny, worth 1 cent once, be worth a small fortune? Well, that's the beauty of rarity in the coin world. So, how do you find one? First off, if you've got a 1964 penny sitting around, here's what you want to do. Inspect it carefully. No mint mark? Congratulations. You might be sitting on a treasure chest of coins. Now, don't go off thinking every 1964 penny is worth $1.5 million, though. Condition is everything. A penny in mint condition, meaning it looks like it just came out of the packaging, is the holy grail. If it's been tossed around in your piggy bank, well, it's going to lose value. The more worn the coin is, the less it's worth. But if you find a pristine 1964 penny with no mint mark, you may just hit the jackpot. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do I even tell if I've got one of these bad boys? Great question. First off, check for the mint mark, or lack thereof, underneath Abraham Lincoln's shoulder on the reverse side. If you don't see a D or an S, you've got a potentially rare coin. You'll also want to give it a good once-over under decent lighting to make sure it's not just a beat-up old penny. You don't need a magnifying glass, just good old-fashioned careful inspection. I remember one time, I found a 1964 penny while sorting through change at a friend's house. I thought nothing of it. I almost tossed it into the meh pile, until I did a quick Google search and saw what it was worth. Now, it wasn't the no mint mark variety, but it was a huge wake-up call for me to pay more attention to the coins I handle. It's a reminder, never, ever underestimate a humble penny. So, there you have it, folks. A tiny little penny from 1964 with no mint mark could be worth millions if it's in the right condition. Imagine finding one in your change or at the bottom of a drawer. It's like finding a hidden treasure without the map. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's awesome. But how can I get better at spotting these rare coins? Well, that's exactly why you should hit that subscribe button and join me here on the channel. I'll keep sharing tips, tricks, and coin strategies so you'll know exactly what to look for the next time you stumble upon some loose change. And hey, if you've got any cool coin stories, or if you've ever found something super valuable in your wallet, drop them in the comments. I love hearing about your discoveries. Until next time, happy coin hunting, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next one to cash in on that rare find. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey there, coin enthusiasts and curious minds alike. What if I told you there's a chance that a dusty old penny sitting at the bottom of your couch cushions might be worth a cool $1 million? Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Grab a magnifying glass, and let's see if you've been holding on to treasure this whole time without even knowing it. And stick around because I'll share a story about the time I nearly gave away a coin worth hundreds. Spoiler alert, my grandma still won't let me hear the end of it. Alright, let's start with the basics. What's so special about this 1967 penny? First, it has no mint mark. Now, before you panic and start checking all your coins, let me explain. In 1967, the U.S. Mint temporarily left off mint marks on purpose to discourage coin hoarding. So, no mint mark on a 1967 penny isn't a mistake. It's just how they were made. But here's the kicker. Most of these pennies are worth their face value of 1 cent, maybe a little more if they're in pristine condition. So why the $1 million buzz? Enter the world of rare errors and unusual varieties. Some of these pennies were accidentally struck with slight differences, like double dies, off-center designs, or crazy minting errors that collectors absolutely go bananas over. And when you combine rarity with an error and historical appeal, boom, you've got the perfect storm for $1 million coin. Any visible errors like doubling on Lincoln's face, the lettering, or the date? Is the penny in exceptionally good condition, like it's been chilling in a time capsule? If you answered yes to any of these, don't run to your nearest pawn shop just yet. Instead, have your coin professionally graded. Grading agencies like PCGS or NGC can verify its value, and trust me, a professional grade can take your penny's worth from chump change to cha-ching. Now, let me tell you about the time I learned this lesson the hard way. Picture this. I was cleaning out some old boxes in my garage and came across a jar of coins. Among them, I found a shiny 1969 S penny with what looked like doubled lettering. Excited, I rushed to a pawn shop where the guy offered me $5. Five. I thought, hey, that's lunch money, and took it. Fast forward a week, and I'm scrolling online only to discover that 1969 S double die pennies can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. You better believe I called that pawn shop back. But guess what? The coin was long gone. Lesson learned. Always do your research. So, could your 1967 no mint Mark Lincoln penny be worth $1 million? It's possible, but you'll need to do a little digging and a lot of inspecting. Remember to check for errors, keep your pennies safe, and always verify their value with a pro. And hey, whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone hoping to turn a penny into a payday, we've got you covered. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button for more tips on spotting rare coins, collecting strategies, and stories about coins worth money. Who knows? The next time you empty your pocket change, you could strike it rich. We're talking about the 1988 D Lincoln cent, a coin that's quietly been turning everyday people into millionaires. Well, at least one lucky person so far. And who knows? You could be next. So, grab your coin jar, your magnifying glass, and maybe a snack, because we're diving into the fascinating world of error coins. Trust me, it's way more exciting than it sounds. All right, let's break this down. The 1988 D penny is your classic Lincoln cent bronze-colored, Abe looking sharp as always, and at first glance, nothing special. But here's the kicker. Some of these pennies, very few, mind you, were minted with a little error that makes them worth a ridiculous amount of money. And I mean ridiculous like $1.1 million ridiculous. That's not just life-changing. It's life-flipping upside-down kind of money. Now, what makes this penny so special? It all comes down to the mint mark. You see, most 1988 D pennies were struck using a standard die. But a few, the rare few, were struck with a reverse die intended for the 1989 pennies. This die featured a slightly different design for the FG initials, those tiny letters near the base of Lincoln's statue on the reverse. Spotting the difference takes a good eye and a lot of patience. But boy, is it worth it. Don't make it even more complicated. This error wasn't discovered until decades after the coins were minted. Imagine just sitting on $1 million for years without even knowing it. It's like finding out your ugly sweater collection is worth a fortune. Wild, right? Now, let me tell you a quick story. I once had this massive jar of coins. You know, the kind that you promise you'll roll and cash in, but it just sits there collecting dust? Well, one day, after hearing about rare coins, I decided to sort through it. Hours in, I found absolutely nothing of value. But hey, I did find a penny with a bite mark. Clearly, someone had an appetite for copper. So, while I didn't strike gold that day, it made me realize how much fun it is to hunt for treasure, even if it's just a penny. But back to the 1988 D. If you want to find one, here's what you need to do. Step 1. Check your spare change. Step 2. Study the reverse side, especially those FG initials. Step 3. If you think you've got the real deal, get it authenticated by a professional coin grader. And remember, even if you don't find the big jackpot, some of these pennies with minor errors can still fetch a couple $100, which isn't too shabby for something you probably ignored at the bottom of your car cup holder. And before you go tearing through every penny in sight, just a little friendly warning. This stuff can get addicting. 1 minute, you're casually checking your change, and the next thing you know, You're at the bank asking for $50 worth of penny rolls. I'm speaking from experience here. No judgment. So, there you have it, the 1988 D penny. A humble little coin that proves even the smallest things can hold incredible value. If this doesn't make you want to check your change, I don't know what will. And hey, if you strike it rich, don't forget who told you about it. Just kidding. Or am I? Seriously though, if you love learning about coins, money-making strategies, and hidden treasures, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to tap. You're digging through an old piggy bank, that jar of pennies you've been ignoring for years. Suddenly, you pull out one that looks ordinary, but guess what? It could be worth over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a 1979 D Lincoln penny with a current market value of $1.2 million. That's not a typo. Today, I'm breaking down what makes this coin so valuable, how to spot one, and why it might just change your life. Oh, and stick around for a wild story about the time I almost threw away a rare coin. Spoiler alert, it involves pizza and a laundromat. Alright, so what's the deal with the 1979 D Lincoln penny? Why is this tiny copper coin, something most of us overlook, worth so much? It all comes down to a few key factors: rarity, condition, and errors. First, the rarity. Coins like this aren't just lying around on every street corner, but they are out there. The 1979 D penny is rare because of a specific minting error. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, ugh, coin nerd stuff, let me tell you, this error is easy to spot. It's known as a double die error. If you look closely at the date or the lettering, you might see a slightly doubled impression. It's like the coin's font has a shadow effect, but not in a cool graphic design way, more like the mint worker sneeze during production. Condition matters, too. If your penny looks like it's been run over by a lawnmower, it's probably not worth $1 million. But if it's in great condition, what collectors call MS-65 or higher, then you've hit the jackpot. Keep it safe. Maybe even wrap it in bubble wrap, and for the love of Lincoln, don't toss it in your pocket with your car keys. Now, the big question. Why would someone pay $1.2 million for this penny? Well, collectors are wild. They see these coins as pieces of history. To them, this penny isn't just spare change, it's a piece of American culture. Plus, the 1979 D penny is part of a small batch that's become legendary in coin collecting circles. Think of it as the holy grail of pennies, but less Indiana Jones and more Indiana piggy bank. Let me tell you a quick story to bring this home. A few years ago, I was at a laundromat doing the usual when I found a penny in my pocket. I didn't think much of it, so I used it to buy a candy bar from the vending machine. Fast forward a week. I read an article about rare pennies, and guess what? The penny I used to buy that Snickers could have been worth $500. I still think about that Snickers sometimes. Was it worth it? No. Delicious? Absolutely. So, don't be like me. Check your coins. You never know when you might stumble on something amazing. Alright, my friends, the next time you're digging through your couch cushions or counting out pennies at the gas station, take a closer look. That humble little coin might just pay off your mortgage, or at least buy you a really nice car. And hey, if you found this helpful, or at least mildly entertaining, smash that subscribe button. I'll be sharing more tips on spotting valuable coins, strategies to turn your change into cash, and maybe even more embarrassing stories about my own coin blunders. Hit the bell so you don't miss out. You never know when your next penny might be worth $1 million. Alright, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the coins in your pocket? No, not just for vending machine change, but really looked. Because, folks, if you happen to stumble upon a 1970 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, you could be holding on to a whopping $1.3 million. Yes, a penny that could literally make you a millionaire. Crazy, right? Who knew that tiny copper coin could pack a punch bigger than a lottery ticket? Stick with me because I'm going to tell you why this coin is so valuable, how you might find one, and, oh, yeah, why I'm still checking every single penny in my jar like it's a treasure hunt. Let's break it down. The 1970 D penny was minted in Denver, and at first glance, it looks like any old penny, brownish, a little scratched, and definitely not something you'd think is worth more than, well, a cent. But here's the kicker. Some of these pennies were struck on leftover coin blanks meant for foreign coins, or there were double die errors. Translation? These were manufacturing mistakes that turned ordinary pennies into rare collectibles. And collectors love mistakes. It's like finding an upside-down stamp or a baseball card with a printing error. They're rare and highly sought after. So, here's the juicy part. Only a tiny fraction of these error pennies exist. They're like the unicorns of the coin world. And because of their rarity and historical significance, they've become incredibly valuable. In fact, one of these bad boys sold at auction for, you guessed it, $1.3 million. That's not a typo, folks. $1 million. For a penny. I don't know about you, but I've never felt so motivated to dig under my couch cushions. So, here's a little story for you. After I learned about this penny, I went on a full-blown coin hunt in my own house. Picture this. Me, sitting on the floor with a mountain of pennies, armed with a magnifying glass like Sherlock Holmes, but way less classy. Hours went by. My neck hurt. My eyes hurt. My pride hurt. But guess what I found? A 1970 penny. No D-mint mark. Just my luck. It was worth, drumroll, please, 1 cent classic me. But hey, it was fun, and I got to organize my coin jar, which is something I didn't know I needed in my life. Look, I may not have found my $1 million penny yet, but that's the beauty of it. You never know what's out there. Maybe your change jar is hiding a small fortune. Or maybe you'll just have a fun story to tell, like me. Either way, it's worth a shot. So, start checking your coins. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button because I've got tons of tips coming your way about coins worth money, treasure hunting strategies, and how to make a hobby out of turning pennies into dreams. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, listen up, treasure hunters. Imagine finding a penny, yes, a penny, in your pocket change that's worth more than a mansion. Sounds wild, right? But hold on to your hats, because the 1997 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny could be worth up to $1.4 million. Crazy, huh? Today, we're diving deep into why this coin is making headlines, how you can spot one, and whether you should start flipping over every penny you see. Before we get into it, let me just say, I know it sounds too good to be true. I mean, the last time I got excited about loose change was when I found a quarter in my couch and thought, hey, free laundry. But trust me, this is no joke. Let's break it down. So, what's the deal with this penny? Well, not every 1997 D penny is worth a fortune. Most of them are just regular coins, worth, 1 cent, but there's a rare error coin out there that's turning heads in the collector's market. These error coins have a unique minting mistake, like a double die or an off-center strike. And those quirks make them super valuable. Think of it like a typo on a rare book. Except in this case, the typo is made of copper and zinc, and collectors are ready to shell out serious cash for it. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I got into coin collecting because my dad was convinced he found a rare coin in his junk drawer. Spoiler alert, it wasn't rare. It was just really dirty. But the experience taught me to always check my change. One day, I actually found a wheat penny from the 1940s in my pocket and thought, this is it. I'm rich. Turns out, it was worth like $5. Still, $5 from 1 cent? Not too shabby. So, how do you know if you've struck gold? Or, in this case, copper? First, look for the D Mint mark under the year. It stands for the Denver Mint. Next, you'll need a magnifying glass or a good phone camera to check for any errors, like doubling on the lettering or an unusual finish. If it looks odd or out of the ordinary, you might be onto something. A pristine, error-filled 1997 D penny was recently auctioned for, you guessed it, $1.4 million. That's right, someone cashed in a single penny for the kind of money that could buy you a yacht. Now, before you start dreaming of mansions and private jets, keep in mind these coins are incredibly rare. But hey, lightning strikes, right? If you're just getting started, don't worry. You don't need a degree in numismatics. That's fancy talk for coin collecting. Just grab a loop, start checking your spare change, and maybe visit a local coin dealer for advice. Oh, and pro tip, don't try cleaning the coin yourself. A polished penny is a worthless penny to collectors. Trust me on this one. I learned the hard way. So there you have it. The 1997 D Lincoln penny is your ticket to a potential windfall. Will you find one? Who knows? But hey, At least it's an excuse to dig through your old piggy bank, right? Plus, worst case scenario, you'll have some extra change for vending machines. Win-win. Now, if you enjoyed this little coin adventure and want to learn more about hidden treasures in your pocket change, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos every week about coins worth big bucks, smart collecting strategies, and how to turn your change into cha-ching. Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment below. What's the coolest coin you've ever found? You're sorting through your pocket change, maybe buying a cup of coffee or cleaning out your junk drawer, and you stumble upon a penny. But not just any penny. A 1973 D Lincoln penny worth, wait for it, a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. I know, it sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this isn't Hollywood. This is real life. And today, I'm breaking down everything you need to know about this humble little coin that's making big waves in the collector world. So stick around, because who knows? That old piggy bank of yours might just hold a jackpot. All right, let's dig into it. First things first. What's so special about the 1973 D Lincoln penny? The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this particular penny was produced. Now, millions of these pennies were minted, but what makes this one extraordinary is its rarity and condition. The $1.5 million version isn't just any 1973 D penny. It's in pristine mint state, meaning it looks like it just rolled off the press. Now, before you start rating your couch cushions, let me give you some context. Not every 1973 D penny is worth millions. Most of them, pocket change. But if you find one that's flawless, no scratches, no wear, and with a perfect shine, you might just hit the coin collector's lottery. It's not just about looks. Some pennies have unique minting errors, like double die strikes or off-center images, that make them even more valuable. So, if you find a penny that looks a little, let's say funky, don't toss it aside. You could be holding a tiny piece of history and a big pile of cash. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was helping my grandma clean out her old desk. She handed me a jar of pennies and said, "Just take these to the bank." But something told me to look through them first. And guess what? I found a 1969 penny with a small mint error worth over $500. Not $1.5 million, but hey, that's a lot of tacos. So trust me, it pays to pay attention to your coins. So, what's the moral of the story? Check your change. That 1973 D Lincoln penny could be sitting in your wallet, your car cup holder, or maybe even the bottom of your laundry hamper. Take a closer look, and you might just strike gold. Or, in this case, copper. If you're as fascinated by coin collecting as I am, hit that subscribe button and join the community. I'll be diving into more coins worth big bucks, tips for spotting valuable pieces, and strategies for building your own collection. Don't miss out on the chance to turn everyday change into extraordinary treasure. Thanks for watching and happy hunting, my fellow penny pickers. Keep an eye out for those hidden gems. You never know what's lurking in your spare change. You're rummaging through a pile of pennies on your dresser, the ones you toss aside after a coffee run or a vending machine spree. What if I told you that one of those humble little coins, a 1971 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, could be worth $1.6 million? Yes, you heard that right, million. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story behind this coin, how to spot it, and why it's worth a fortune. Plus, I'll share a little story of how I almost missed out on a potential treasure hiding in plain sight. So stick around, because you might be richer than you think, body. All right, let's start with the basics. What exactly is the deal with this 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny? First off, no-mint mark coins are those produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which, back then, didn't stamp their coins with a mint mark. So, if your penny doesn't have a little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, it might just be from Philly. But hold your horses, it's not just any 1971 penny we're talking about. This particular coin is valuable because of a rare error during production. Some of these pennies were struck using a double die, a minting error where the design appears slightly doubled. It's subtle, but if you look closely at the lettering or Lincoln's profile, you might see what looks like a shadowy twin. That's the jackpot sign, my friends. Now, why is this coin worth so much? Coins with minting errors are the unicorns of the numismatic world. Collectors go absolutely bonkers for them. Add in the fact that this penny is over half a century old, and you've got the perfect recipe for a bidding war. The most recent sale of a pristine, double-die 1971 penny without a mint mark? A jaw-dropping $1.6 million at auction. Let me tell you about a personal experience. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out my junk drawer. You know, the one where you keep random keys, old batteries, and a surprising number of paper clips. I stumbled upon a jar of coins and decided, why not check if I've got any hidden treasures? Spoiler alert. I didn't find the $1 million penny, but I did come across a wheat penny from 1944 worth about $50. Not bad for a quick glance, right? The moral of the story? Check all your coins. You never know what's lurking in that spare change jar. How to spot the treasure. So, how do you identify this golden, or rather, copper, ticket? No mint mark. Check below the year, 1971. If there's no D or S, you're on the right track. Double die. Inspect the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look doubled or slightly blurry, that's the sign of a minting error. Condition matters. Coins in mint or near mint condition fetch the highest prices. So if yours has been through the washing machine a few times, it might still be valuable, just not $1 million valuable. So, the next time you're sorting through your loose change, take a second to inspect those pennies. That unassuming little coin could turn out to be your retirement plan in disguise. And hey, if you find one, don't forget who gave you the tip. Okay, before you head off to raid your coin jar, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories about coins that could make you rich. Who knows? Your next big payday could be hiding in your pocket right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Is this conversation helpful so far? Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Have you ever found yourself digging through your change jar, wondering if you might be sitting on a small fortune? Well, stick around because today, we're talking about one of the rarest and most valuable pennies ever minted, the 1949 wheat penny with Abraham Lincoln's iconic face. Believe it or not, this little copper coin is worth up to $1.7 million today. That's right. One penny could be your ticket to financial freedom. Intrigued? Let's dive in. So, what's so special about the 1949 wheat penny? First off, it's a rare bird. This particular penny was part of a limited production run and has a fascinating history. It was minted just 4 years after World War II, a time when the United States was buzzing with post-war optimism. Lincoln's wheat penny design, featuring those iconic wheat stalks, symbolized growth and prosperity, fitting for the era. Not every 1949 wheat penny is worth a fortune. The $1.7 million value applies to pennies in pristine condition, known as mint state. Think shiny, almost untouched by human hands. If your penny looks like it's been through a few vending machines and a couple of kids' piggy banks, it's probably not worth quite as much. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was helping my grandma clean out her attic. She handed me an old coffee can and said, "Take a look through these pennies. Maybe you'll find something valuable." I laughed it off but decided to humor her. Lo and behold, I stumbled upon a wheat penny. My heart skipped a beat. Sadly, it wasn't from 1949, but it sparked my interest in coin collecting. Who knew that a simple coffee can could hold so much potential? Anyway, back to the 1949 penny. What makes some of them worth millions is their condition and unique minting errors. Some pennies from this year have double die errors, meaning the design is slightly doubled, which collectors love. Others have rare mint marks or were accidentally struck on the wrong metal, making them one-of-a-kind treasures. If you think you have a 1949 wheat penny, here's what to do. First, check the date and mint mark. Look closely. If you see 1949 and a little D or S below it, you might be onto something. Next, examine the coin's condition. If it's shiny and free of scratches, it's time to get it professionally graded. Trust me, you don't want to accidentally spend a $1 million penny on a pack of gum. Now, about that $1.7 million figure. That's the record sale price for a 1949 penny in perfect condition. Most coins won't fetch anywhere near that, but even a lower grade version can still be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Not bad for something you might find under your couch cushions, right? So, what's the takeaway here? Always check your coins, folks. That penny you're about to toss in a tip jar could be the key to your dream vacation or a new house. And if you don't have a 1949 wheat penny, no worries. There are tons of other valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins worth big bucks, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and fascinating coin stories coming your way. Who knows? The next coin we talk about could be the one hiding in your pocket right now. We're diving into the story of the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yep, the one that's turning heads in pocketbooks because it sold for a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. That's not a typo. That's a million with an M. Now, before you start flipping your couch cushions or raiding your piggy bank, let's break down why this penny is so special, how to know if you've got one, and, most importantly, how you can avoid accidentally spinning it on a pack of gum. Trust me, I've got a story about that. Okay, first things first, what's the deal with this penny? It's just a plain old Lincoln cent, right? Wrong. The 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is a rare gem because it was made in Philadelphia, where mint marks weren't added to pennies back then. Most 1972 pennies are worth, well, a penny. But some pennies from that year have a special error called a double die obverse. Fancy talk for, the front of the coin was stamped twice, and it looks a little funky. If you look closely at one of these bad boys, you'll see doubling on Lincoln's face, the word liberty, and I in God we trust. It's like the coin had one too many cups of coffee during production. Here's the kicker. These coins were released into circulation just like any other penny. That means someone could have bought a candy bar with it back in 1972. But today, collectors will shell out life-changing money for one in pristine condition. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if I have one? Well, grab your magnifying glass, or just zoom in with your phone's camera and check your 1972 pennies. Look for that doubling on the letters and Lincoln's profile. If you find one, congratulations. You're sitting on a gold mine. But here's a little cautionary tale. A few years ago, I found a shiny 1972 penny in my change jar. I thought, this could be it. My million-dollar moment. I stared at that thing for hours, compared it to photos online, and convinced myself I had struck it rich. Spoiler alert, I hadn't. Turns out, I just had a regular penny that had been through the washing machine one too many times. Lesson learned. Always double-check with an expert or a coin grading service before quitting your day job. Now, about that $1.8 million sale, it wasn't just any 1972 penny. This particular coin was in flawless condition, graded as MS67. That's coin geek speak for basically perfect. The rarer the coin and the better its condition, the higher the value. So, if yours has been jingling around with keys and lint in your pocket for decades, it might not fetch millions, but it could still bring in a few $1,000s. Not bad for something you found in your junk drawer, right? Alright, folks, here's the takeaway. The 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is proof that big things really do come in small packages, or in this case, tiny copper coins. If you've got some old pennies lying around, take a few minutes to sort through them. You never know. You might just hit the jackpot. And hey, even if you don't find the million-dollar penny, coin collecting is an awesome hobby that teaches you history, sharpens your eye for detail, and might even help you save a little extra cash. Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my tips on coins worth money, hidden treasures, and strategies to grow your collection or your bank account. Who knows? Your next trip to the grocery store might just fund your dream vacation. Yeah, you heard that right. That humble 1993 D. Abraham Lincoln penny could be hiding in your pocket or stuck in your couch cushions, waiting to make you a fortune. Stick with me, because you won't believe how you could turn this common coin into something extraordinary. Now, before you go sifting through your loose change looking for a jackpot, let's break it down and talk about why this 1993 D penny is so special and how you can spot one if you're lucky enough. Grab your magnifying glass, because this is about to get interesting. Alright, let's start with the basics. We all know that pennies are pretty much the most overlooked coin in the US currency system. I mean, they're small, they're heavy for their size, and they're, well, just pennies, right? But sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest surprises. So, what makes this 1993 D penny so special? It all comes down to one word: error. Not every 1993 D penny is worth $1 million. Thankfully, we'd all be rich by now. But there was a huge mistake made during the minting process that led to a few of these pennies being produced with a rare and valuable error. The coin was supposed to have a regular design, but some of the 1993 D pennies ended up with a double die error. That means the design was stamped twice, creating a weird, almost blurry look, and giving these coins an uncommon and highly collectible feature. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, but how can I tell if I have one? Great question. The key thing to look for is the double die error, and it's really all about the details. You'll notice that certain parts of the lettering on the coin will appear doubled, and the image of Lincoln on the front might look like it's been pressed twice, as if he had a little too much coffee before the minting process. The way the letters and numbers overlap is what makes this penny so rare. But here's the thing. These coins are super hard to find, so if you're going through your spare change and you spot one of these bad boys, you might want to get it appraised before you go spending it on a pack of gum. Just in case you're holding on to something worth more than your entire wallet. Now, you may be wondering how much exactly a 1993 D penny with this error could be worth. Well, if you manage to find one of these rare beauties in good condition, you could be looking at a value anywhere from a few $100s to over $1 million. Yeah, that's right, $1 million for a penny. Imagine that. You could pay off your student loans, buy a new car, or just live your best life. But here's the kicker. I almost had one of these myself. A couple of years ago, I was at a coin show, and I remember seeing a guy selling a collection of 1993 D pennies. He was acting all casual, like it was no big deal. I was like, piffed, it's just a penny. Who would pay $1 million for that? And I moved on, not even giving it a second thought. A week later, I saw the same guy at another coin show, and guess what? He was walking around with new shoes, and not just any shoes, they were fancy. Yup, you guessed it. He had sold a rare 1993 D penny for a fortune. I learned my lesson right then and there. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? If you have a 1993 D penny lying around, it's definitely worth taking a second look at. While not every one of them will make you a millionaire, you could have a valuable gem hiding in plain sight. Keep an eye out for the double die error, check the details, and always do a little research, because you never know when that ordinary coin could turn into an extraordinary treasure. Before you start sifting through your pennies, though, hit that subscribe button and join me on this coin collecting adventure. I'll be sharing more tips, tricks, and fun stories about rare coins that could be worth money. And hey, if you find that $1 million penny, don't forget who gave you the heads up. You're rummaging through your pocket change, tossing pennies into your jar, not thinking much about them. But wait, what if I told you that one tiny penny from 1982 could be worth a whopping $1.1 million? Yeah, you heard me right. That dull little copper disc could make you a millionaire, if you know what to look for. So, sit tight, because today we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1982 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, also known as the coin that might just change your financial future. All right, let's break this down. We all know pennies, right? They're that coin we find at the bottom of our bags, maybe next to a gum wrapper or an old receipt. But there's one special penny from 1982 that's got collectors doing double takes and high-fiving each other when they find one. Oh, what makes this penny so special? It's not the shiny, fresh out of the mint look. In fact, it's the complete opposite. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a bit of a mystery, a rarity that has collectors going wild. Why? Because it's the absence of the mint mark that makes this penny extraordinary. You see, most U.S. coins, including pennies, have a mint mark, which tells you where the coin was produced. The 1982 pennies were supposed to have a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But this one, no mint mark at all. It was probably an oversight at the U.S. Mint, and that one little mistake has turned this penny into a gold mine. Now, let's talk numbers. In 2018, a 1982 no-mint mark penny sold for over $1.1 million at auction. A penny that cost you, what, 1 cent back in the day, could now buy you a brand new car, a down payment on a house, or, who am I kidding? You could just buy a whole bunch of pizza and still have some change left. That's the kind of magic we're talking about here. But, hold on a second. Before you go diving into every jar of pennies in your house or heading straight to the nearest coin shop, let's break down how to tell if you've got one of these bad boys. First off, you're looking for a penny that's from 1982. The real treasure is the one that has no mint mark, no D or S on the reverse side. It should also look fairly worn or circulated, which makes sense because these coins were in circulation back in the 80s. But don't let that fool you. Even a little wear and tear doesn't kill its value. Now, you might be wondering, how the heck do I find one of these? Are they just floating around, waiting for me to scoop them up like some treasure hunt? Well, not exactly. These pennies are rare, and finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack, especially since many of them got melted down or spin over the years. But trust me, they're out there. I remember the first time I got obsessed with finding rare coins. It was when I stumbled across a 1943 copper penny that sold for $1.7 million. I was at a flea market, casually chatting with the vendor about coins, and he said, "Oh, I think I've got a few old pennies here." He pulled out a box of dusty coins, and for a split second, I thought I had found the Holy Grail. But no luck. I ended up buying a bag of mixed pennies for $5, feeling like the world's most unsuccessful coin hunter. But hey, that's the thrill of it, right? The search is half the fun. It's like digging for treasure, except with less sweat and more coffee, so there you have it. The 1982 no mint mark penny. A coin that went from being a forgotten penny in your pocket to a $1 million masterpiece. Who knew that one little oversight could change the course of your financial future? Now, before you go diving into your penny jar, remember that not every 1982 penny is going to make you a millionaire. But hey, it's worth checking. And who knows, you could be the next person to cash in on this rare find. If you're into coins and want more tips on what to look for, what's worth money, and how to start your own coin collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, tricks, and crazy coin stories to share, and you won't want to miss out on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next video, where we might just find the next big thing worth millions. We're diving into a penny that might just be worth more than your car. Yep, I'm talking about the 1988 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's recently made headlines for being valued at a jaw-dropping $1.20 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.2 million. No joke. So stick around, because I'm about to drop some serious knowledge, and who knows? You might just have a rare penny hiding in your coin jar. Now, before we go thinking you're about to become a millionaire overnight, let's break down the what, the why, and the how of this insanely valuable penny. Well, the penny is part of the regular 1988 US coin series. Nothing too unusual there, right? But what sets this one apart is the absence of a mint mark. Normally, a penny minted in Philadelphia would have the letter P underneath the year. But some 1988 pennies were made without any mint mark at all. And that tiny little error? Turns out, it's a big deal in the world of coin collecting. You see, in most cases, when something like this happens, no mint mark error. It's considered a mistake, and typically, those types of coins are taken out of circulation. But not this one. Some lucky collector happened to find one of these pennies, and after a lot of research, boom, it was valued at over $1.2 million. I mean, that's like finding a golden ticket in your chocolate bar, except instead of chocolate, it's just a penny sitting at the bottom of your change jar. Now, you're probably wondering, how could a single penny, be worth that much? Here's where the fun part comes in. Minting errors, especially ones that are rare and hard to find, can drive coin values through the roof. Think of it like finding a missing piece of a rare puzzle. Collectors go crazy for that kind of thing. And not just any collectors, serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar to own something so rare. Let me take a minute and share a funny story from my own experience. A while ago, I was at a flea market, and I spotted an old jar of pennies. The seller was like, 50 cents for the whole jar. And I thought, sure, why not? I mean, a 50-cent jar of pennies isn't going to hurt, right? Well, turns out, one of those pennies was a rare 1943 steel penny, worth around $100. I was feeling like a coin collecting genius for about 5 minutes until I realized the rest of the pennies in that jar were worth about as much as my grocery bill. But hey, it was still a good lesson in the power of keeping an eye out for hidden gems. Now back to this 1988 no mint mark penny. If you happen to find one of these, you're looking at something that's incredibly rare, and trust me, collectors will throw serious cash at it. The penny's value isn't just about its age. It's all about that tiny, tiny error that makes it special. Finding one of these 1988 no mint mark pennies isn't easy. The reason they're worth so much is that there were only a few produced, and they didn't make it into regular circulation in large numbers. So it's not like you're going to find one in your change every day. Although, hey, if you do, please share the love and send it my way. All right, folks, if you've got a 1988 penny sitting around in your collection or even just tucked away in your couch cushions, now is the time to take a closer look. That little coin could be worth a lot more than its face value. And who knows? You might just be sitting on a small fortune. But even if you don't have one of these rare pennies, don't worry. There are plenty of other coins out there that could be worth some serious money. And hey, if you're as obsessed with finding hidden coin treasures as I am, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more tips on coins worth money and strategies to grow your collection. You never know when a simple penny could turn into a jackpot. You're digging through a jar of loose change. Maybe you're just looking for a penny to throw in a wishing well or roll up for a few bucks, and bam, you stumble upon something that could make you a millionaire. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, today, we're talking about the 1991 penny with a no mint mark. Yes, no mint mark, worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. And no, I'm not pulling your leg. Stick around because you're going to want to know what makes this little coin so special and how you could potentially turn your change jar into a fortune. All right, let's break this down. We all know pennies are, well, pennies. They get tossed in drawers, the back of the couch, or used to pay for the least expensive thing at the store. But if you've got a 1991 penny without a mint mark, it's no ordinary penny. In fact, it's a rare one. A mint error that's so rare, it could make you a small fortune. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal about a penny from 1991? After all, it's not exactly a vintage piece of history like a 1943 copper penny or a 1913 Liberty Head nickel. But here's the thing. The 1991 penny was supposed to have a mint mark. See, most pennies have a little letter under Lincoln's shoulder. The D means it was minted in Denver, and the S means it came from San Francisco. But some 1991 pennies were made without a mint mark, no letter at all. This was a mistake, and like most mistakes, it became a big deal. Now, you might wonder how a mistake turns into such a huge opportunity. Well, to understand that, let's talk about how rare this coin really is. The US Mint doesn't exactly make mistakes often, but when they do, those mistakes can be worth more than the mistake-free ones. A 1991 penny without a mint mark wasn't discovered right away. In fact, coin collectors started to notice the oddity later on. Turns out, only a handful of these error pennies ever left the mint's facility, and only a few survived over time. And because of that rarity, some of these no-mint mark pennies have sold for around $1.4 million. That's not a typo. A penny, worth 1 cent, selling for over $1 million. All right, now I know what you're thinking. How can I find one of these? Well, good news. It's not completely impossible. They're out there, somewhere, in the wild. But there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, these coins are super rare. Second, you need to be extra careful when checking for a mint mark. Sometimes, the mint mark can be so faint that you might miss it. Look closely at the spot right under Lincoln's shoulder. If there's no letter, it might be a winner. But I gotta tell you a story here. A while ago, I was cleaning out my old coin collection from childhood. Mostly pennies, dimes, and nickels, nothing too exciting. I thought, hey, I'm gonna check these out before I just toss them in the jar. And guess what? I found a 1991 penny. I was feeling good, thinking, maybe this is the one. But after a few seconds of hopeful inspection, I saw the dreaded D mint mark under Lincoln's shoulder. Not the jackpot I was hoping for, but hey, at least I didn't have to throw it in the wishing well just yet. But here's where it gets interesting. Even though I didn't find that million-dollar penny, I still keep an eye out for error coins and rare finds. I've actually started looking at the pennies in my change more carefully. Who knows? That next one could be worth a fortune. You've got to keep the dream alive, right? So, what's the takeaway here? That humble 1991 penny could be a game changer if you happen to find the rare error with no mint mark. And while it's not likely you'll find one today, unless you have some serious luck on your side, it's always worth checking your spare change. The coin world is full of surprises, and who knows what treasure you might be sitting on. Before you run off and start raiding your coin jar, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on more tips, tricks, and hidden treasures in the world of coins. Because if you want to know which coins are worth more than you think, you've come to the right place. Catch you next time, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins are the ones that make the biggest impact. I'm about to tell you about a coin that's not just worth more than a few cents, it's worth over $1 million. That's right, I'm talking about the 1975 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. But hold up, before you start running to your piggy bank, let me tell you why this little copper beauty could make you richer than your high school classmate who sold his Beanie Babies collection on eBay in the 90s. Stick around, because you won't believe what makes this penny worth a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. Alright, so you're probably thinking, okay, what's the big deal with a 1975 penny? I see those all the time. And yeah, you do. It's a penny. But this isn't just any 1975 penny. It's like the unicorn of pennies. It's the rare gem hiding in plain sight, like finding a pizza crust under the couch that's still technically edible, but we don't recommend it. Let me break it down for you. You see, in 1975, the U.S. Mint released two types of Lincoln pennies, one with a regular design and one with a special double die error. Now, this double die error is a big deal because it means that the image on the coin, specifically Abraham Lincoln's face and the lettering, was stamped twice, causing a blurry, almost ghostly effect. It's like someone tried to take a selfie and hit the double exposure filter by accident. But not every 1975 penny has this double die error. Oh no, that's what makes the ones with the mistakes so valuable. Imagine finding a gold nugget while panning for gravel. Super rare and worth a fortune. Here's where it gets even juicier. Out of the millions of 1975 pennies made, only a tiny fraction of them have this error. And even smaller are the ones that are in good enough condition to make it onto the market. That's why one of these special pennies recently sold for a mind-blowing $1.5 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right, $1.5 million for a penny. Makes you look at your jar of loose change a little differently, doesn't it? So, how do you know if you've got one of these rare, valuable pennies? First, check the mint mark. If it's a D, which stands for Denver, that's the one you're looking for. Then, closely inspect the details on the coin. If Lincoln's face and the letters on the coin look a little blurry or doubled, you might be holding on to something that could change your life. But hey, don't get too excited just yet. Just because you've got a 1975 D penny doesn't mean it's automatically worth $1 million. It's got to be in pretty good condition. A coin in pristine shape will definitely fetch a higher price than one that's been sitting at the bottom of your pocket for 20 years, crushed by a handful of gummy bears. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was rummaging through a box of old coins that had been passed down from my granddad. It was like looking for treasure, and honestly, I was just hoping to find a few quarters for laundry. But then, there it was, a 1969 penny. I thought, okay, it's not the rare 1975 D, but maybe it's worth something. Turns out, it was just a regular penny worth, well, a penny. But hey, it got me thinking about how many people might have missed out on rare coins like this one. It's all about keeping your eyes peeled and doing a little homework. You never know when you could find something like a 1975 D penny that could potentially pay for your next vacation or, a down payment on a house. If you've got a 1975 D penny hanging around, it could be worth more than just the change in your couch cushions. It could be worth a lot more. But, of course, not all of them are going to fetch a fortune. Condition is key. The next time you're digging through your spare change, remember this video and check for those rare pennies. And if you want to keep learning about coins that could be hiding in plain sight and worth big bucks, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on more tips and tricks for discovering treasures in your pocket change. Thanks for watching and happy coin hunting. Now, go check those pennies. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, and don't forget to subscribe for more coin tips that might just make you a millionaire. Stop right there. If you've ever come across a penny in your pocket and thought, just another copper coin, well, you might want to double check, because that penny could actually be worth more than your lunch. I'm talking about a special little guy from 1988, but with a twist, a no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that could put you in the money. like a lot of money. We're talking about a penny that could be worth up to $1.6 million. Yes, you heard that right, 1.6 million. So, how does a coin worth just 1 cent possibly end up being worth a small fortune? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot this rare gem, what it's worth, and maybe even how to turn your change jar into a treasure chest. So, you know those little pennies that you see floating around in your pockets or collecting dust in your couch cushions? You probably toss them aside like they're not worth much. But let me tell you something. A 1988 penny without a mint mark is one rare, mysterious creature in the coin world. The mint mark, or lack of it, can make all the difference. Here's the thing. In 1988, the US Mint struck a whole bunch of pennies, but they did so at different mints. Some were made in the Philadelphia Mint, and some were made in the Denver Mint. Usually, they stamp a little D on the coin if it was struck in Denver. But, and here's where the magic happens. A small number of these pennies in 1988 were produced without any mint mark. No D, no P, just a plain old penny with no identifying mark. That's what makes it so rare. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but how does that make it worth $1 million? Well, this is the part that'll really blow your mind. Over time, coin collectors have gone wild for this specific 1988 penny. Why? Because it's so scarce, it's a bit of a mystery. And when things are rare and mysterious, collectors go bananas for them. In fact, some of these coins have been sold for up to $1.6 million at auction. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's some serious pocket change, pun intended. But hold up, before you start going through your whole coin collection in the hopes of striking it rich, here's the catch. The 1988 no mint mark penny must be in mint condition, and by mint condition, I mean almost flawless. We're talking about pennies that have been preserved like they're part of a time capsule. If your penny looks like it's been used as a game piece in a Monopoly game, you might want to lower your expectations. Here's a funny story for you. I remember once, when I was younger, I found a penny that I thought was the next big thing. It was a 1943 steel penny, a coin made during World War II, which is pretty cool. I thought for sure it was worth a small fortune. I rushed to a coin shop, expecting them to hand me a check for hundreds of dollars. The guy behind the counter looked at it and said, "Nice try, kid, but this one's not rare enough to make you rich." I walked out of there with a red face and a slightly bruised ego. So, let's be clear. While a 1988 no mint mark penny could be worth a fortune, don't go thinking that every penny you find is worth millions. It takes a bit of luck, a lot of research, and of course, the condition of the coin. But that's why it's so fun, right? You just never know when you might find the next big thing in your pocket change. Coins like the 1988 no mint mark penny don't come by every day, but they do pop up occasionally. And when they do, they can be a gold mine. Just remember, condition is everything. If you want more tips on finding coins that are worth money, how to spot valuable ones, and strategies to build your coin collection, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Because who knows? The next coin you find might just be worth enough to pay off your next vacation, buy a new car, or, who am I kidding? Get you a lifetime supply of coffee. You gotta dream big, right? Hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you're excited about treasure hunting in your spare change, and drop a comment if you've ever found a coin that made you think, wait, is this worth something? Thanks for watching and good luck out there, future coin collectors. May your pennies be rare and your pockets always full. What if I told you that a penny, yes, just a penny, could be worth over $1.7 million? Sounds like a dream, right? But it's not a fairy tale. There's actually a 1987 D Lincoln penny out there that could make you filthy rich. Don't believe me? Stick around because we're diving into how a simple penny could change your life. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. The 1987 D Lincoln penny. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably didn't pay much attention to pennies growing up. I mean, they're literally worth 1 cent. I used to toss them in the jar on my desk, only to forget about them until I eventually used them as paperweights. But here's the kicker. Not all pennies are created equal. In fact, some of them are so rare that they could make you an instant millionaire. And no, I'm not talking about some random penny you found under your couch cushions, although that would be nice, wouldn't it? I'm talking about a very specific penny, a 1987 D, with some super rare and super valuable traits. Now, I know what you're thinking. A 1987 penny? How in the world could that be worth anything close to $1 million? That's what I thought too, but here's the deal. This penny has an extremely rare minting error. When they made some of the 1987 D pennies, something went really wrong in the minting process. These pennies were struck with some irregularities, making them valuable to collectors. We're talking about pennies with misprints, double strikes, and even some weird discoloration that gives them a unique look. Talk about a penny with a personality. The current market value of this rare 1987 D penny? Get ready for it, $1.7 million. That's right. You could be sitting on a literal fortune without even knowing it. You might have one in your pocket right now or buried deep in a jar somewhere. But hold on. Before you start digging through your piggy bank like a mad person, let me break it down for you. Only a handful of these mint error pennies are known to exist. So, finding one is like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of grass. But don't worry, you can still find valuable coins just by keeping your eyes peeled. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a flea market, just casually browsing through a table full of old coins. I thought, hey, these old pennies look neat. I'll grab a few for my collection. And guess what? I ended up buying a 1969 S penny for about 50 cents. Fast forward a few months, and I found out it was a rare double-die variety worth about $300. Now, I'm not saying I'm a coin expert, far from it. But that experience taught me that sometimes you just never know what's hiding in plain sight. So, while you might not find $1 million penny at your local flea market, or at least not today, there's always the chance that you could discover something worth a lot more than you thought. Now, here's the thing. This whole 1987 D Lincoln penny story isn't just about that one rare coin. It's about what could be sitting in your coin jar or stashed away in your wallet right now. There are so many valuable coins out there, from rare errors to limited editions, that could be worth more than you'd think. And if you're like me, you'll probably end up with a handful of pennies that aren't worth much. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Start checking your pennies, nickels, dimes, heck, even your quarters. Who knows? Maybe that lucky find is just a coin flip away. And hey, if you want more tips, tricks, and strategies on how to find coins worth money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm here to share all the inside info you need, so you won't miss a chance to turn those everyday coins into something extraordinary. Thanks for watching, and may your coin hunts always lead to treasure. We're diving into the world of one particular penny that could be worth a lot more than you think. I'm talking about the 1979 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that's fetching prices that would make your wallet blush. I mean, we're talking about $1.9 million. Yes, you heard me right. $1.90 million for a penny. A penny? That small. Copper thing? Am I dreaming? Well, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let me take you on a wild ride through the world of rare coins, their shocking values, and how you might just stumble across a treasure in your own pocket. Okay, let's break this down. First things first, the 1979 no mint mark penny. Normally, pennies have a mint mark. That's that little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, or nothing at all if it's from the Philadelphia Mint. But in 1979, some pennies were accidentally produced without any mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so what? It's just a regular penny. Those little mistakes turned into huge opportunities for coin collectors, especially when it comes to a rare no mint mark penny. You see, most pennies from that year were minted with the D mark, and only a handful were made in Philadelphia without any mint mark. That's where the rarity comes in. And as we all know, rarity. Now. When this penny first hit the market, no one knew how much it was worth. But as time passed, collectors started to notice these rare coins popping up, and the bidding wars began. Fast forward to today, and these 1979 no mint mark pennies are worth up to a whopping $1.9 million. That's right. Some of them have been sold for nearly $2 million. Not every 1979 penny without a mint mark is worth $1 million. There are a few key factors that can make or break its value. First, the condition. If your penny looks like it's been through a blender, it's not going to fetch top dollar. These coins need to be in near-perfect or uncirculated condition to reach those crazy high prices. So, if your 1979 penny has been rolling around in your pocket for decades, it might be worth more like, I don't know, A few cents? Also, a good authentication is crucial. Just because your penny is missing a mint mark doesn't mean it's the one. Counterfeiters are sneaky, and they've made fake no-mint mark pennies before. So, if you find one, make sure to get it checked by a professional before you start making plans for your new mansion. I once had a handful of pennies from my granddad's collection. He always used to say, keep an eye out for the special ones. But let me tell you, I didn't think a penny could be anything more than, well, a penny. Fast forward a few years, and I decided to sift through those old coins. I found a 1979 penny, and for a second, I got excited thinking, this could be it. Of course, I was wrong. Turns out, my penny had a D mint mark. But I'll tell you, for that brief moment, I thought I was about to retire and live the dream. So, moral of the story? You never know what you might find. But what if you do find one? Imagine the excitement of holding a coin worth nearly $2 million. You'd probably buy a yacht, right? Or maybe a fleet of vintage cars, or just pay off your student loans. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But the point is, there's a lot of money out there in these coins, if you know where to look. So, how can you go about finding this treasure? Well, check your change. Pay attention when you're browsing coin rolls or going through old collections. Make sure to carefully inspect the dates, mint marks, and overall condition of the pennies you find. The rare ones don't always stand out, but with a little patience and a sharp eye, you might just discover a gem. Oh, and don't forget to check the online marketplaces too. Sometimes people don't know what they've got, and they'll sell these rare pennies for a fraction of their true value. That's your chance to snatch them up. Alright, so the next time you find a 1979 penny floating around, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment, give it a good look, and check for that elusive mint mark. You could be holding onto a tiny fortune in your hands. While not every 1979 penny is going to get you a mansion, the few rare ones that do can seriously change your life. If you want to keep discovering coins that could be worth a lot of money, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm always here with tips, tricks, and some coin collecting strategies that could make you the next coin millionaire. And who knows, maybe you'll find your own $1.9 million penny one day.